What's going on, guys? This is Chris from the Thaboyzpodcast, and today I want to talk about my Mount Rushmore of WWE wrestlers. And I've seen many lists out there over the past couple weeks. I guess this is a big thing going on, so I said, why not? Let me jump in and say my personal WWE Mount Rushmore. And there's no right or wrong answer to this because everyone sees the wrestling industry, the wrestling business in a different light, and that's why we love professional wrestling because we take different aspects of it and it makes it special to us. And my list here consists of the guys throughout the decade that I felt made the most impact, not only to the WWF, WWE, but to the wrestling business itself. And I don't have a lot of the great technical wrestlers throughout the years, but let's just jump into my list. And guys, feel free, if you agree with my list, like and subscribe. If you don't, still like and subscribe, but please put your list below and I'd love to see it because, like I said, everyone sees the business in a different light and everyone's choices are going to be different. So let's jump into mine. So to start off my list here, like I said, I went through the decades, and this was pretty simple actually for me to do this list. Now, if I was choosing my top 4 WWE superstars of all time, it'd be a lot tougher. But like I said, I didn't necessarily go with the best wrestlers, the most technical wrestlers. So the list was a little more simple for me. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. But starting at number 1 on the Mount Rushmore, definitely carried the flagship of WWF and made it mainstream. And he had you saying, you better eat your vitamins and say your prayers. And that is definitely Hulk Hogan deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of WWE wrestlers. One of the biggest stars, if not the biggest WWE star of all time, one of the biggest. And for all the stuff Hogan has done in the past couple years, and I know a lot of people have been hating on Hogan and all his lies or whatever the hell he's going through right now, we can't ignore the fact of how big Hulkamania was. And there was nothing bigger than Hogan in the 80s. And you had many great big stars in that 80s era, but no one was on Hogan's level. Nobody. And he definitely deserves to be there. Vince needed a flag bearer to carry WWE into the mainstream when he was, going global with it. And Hogan ran with that flag. And what's even crazy about it, going into the 90s where he kind of got stale, he didn't re-sign with the WWF. And then he went to WCW and he changed the game again where he turned heel and joined the NWO. And it was something like 83 weeks. They destroyed the WWF. So Hogan, if not the biggest star ever in the industry, one of the biggest stars, definitely is on my route. Jumping into the 90s decade now, we still have Hogan and what I explained what he did in WCW, but now we have a lot of guys in the WWF, WWE really stepping up to the plate here. We have Bret Hart, we have Shawn Michaels, we have Triple H in the later 90s. We have The Rock in the later 90s. We have The Undertaker still making an impact. We have Mick Foley. But the one guy I'm definitely putting on Mount Rushmore for sure, and I'm assuming he's on everyone's list. Cue the glass break. Favorite wrestler of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And who didn't want to be Stone Cold? He was a guy that would go to work, raise hell, give his boss a stunner, booyah, drink a couple beers, and raise even more hell. And Stone Cold, a guy that really took the company on his back. And there were so many great stars starting to develop and becoming, what we were going to see in the 2000s as megastars. You had The Rock really coming up, Triple H in the next year or so was starting to come up. You still had Mankind there. You still had The Undertaker always doing something. So, to have Stone Cold as the guy that carried them to the promised land where they needed to be was an incredible journey, and you just had to be there. my one regret in life so far is not seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin live. I wish when I was younger my dad would have took me just to experience that aura and hearing the glass shatter and just the fans erupting. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how popular Stone Cold was. And it's crazy to think, still to today, Stone Cold still is in the top 10 merchandise seller for the WWE, which is insane. And it's nuts to think about. Even Stone Cold and The Rock, their time at the top of the business was very limited. It wasn't such a long run, but it was so impactful. And I'll leave it at this. I'll never forget when the Austin era started, and we'll never forget when the Austin era ended. Now, jumping into the 2000s, we have, like I said, a lot of these guys from that late 90s really taken off. The Rock, after Stone Cold disappeared with getting his neck fixed, The Rock started taking off. The resurgence of Kurt Angle, Triple H, and that era where that's when I kind of stopped watching wrestling. I gotta be honest, when every night he was just cheating to beat people, and I know he's a heel and he's supposed to do that, but it was just some bullshit. You had guys like Edge starting to come up. You had young Randy Orton. You had Batista. You had all these great characters, but there was one superstar that Vince needed someone to step up and grab that brass ring he's always talking about. And when the Austin and The Rock, faded away, and he needed somebody to really be a fan favorite, somebody stepped up. And you can't see me, but I can see you, John Cena. And John Cena definitely makes my Mount Rushmore. A guy that has held down the WWE for so long. And I'm gonna be honest, I was a huge fan of Thugonomics, John Cena, and then when he started becoming a face, I was still a fan, but then we all started to get a little sick and tired of John Cena, and it's kind of like I can see it kind of happening with Cody Rhodes a little bit in the next couple months. I think a lot of people are going to start getting tired of babyface Cody because they're so over, and which is a great thing. He's a great hero to the kids. He's never been in trouble. He's always done the right stuff, as in, being a superhero. And I know a lot of the real fans that dig deep in the dirt sheets. We know Cena has buried people, hadn't want to work with people, but that doesn't matter. The last two guys I picked did the same thing. When you're in that top spot, you're very protective of your place, and I totally understand that. And Cena started winning me over and a lot of fans over. And I felt after his feud with CM Punk, he really started putting on excellent matches with the resurgence of NXT guys coming up and just putting on great matches when he had that US title. It was an unbelievable run. I hope and I wish he has a great retirement party and we see him win his 17th title to break that record. I think Cena, out of everyone, totally deserves it. This man is the definition of Captain America. He's a guy that's been injured and coming back early from, injuries that should take a year to heal. This guy's already back in 4 or 6 months. He's an incredible guy, incredible talent, and John Cena, you definitely deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore. And to the younger generation fans, the 2000 fans that started watching at that peak, John Cena is the GOAT for them. So definitely John Cena deserves to be on the list, and he falls in on my Mount Rushmore. We made it. We're finally here. The final piece to completing my Mount Rushmore of WWE superstars. And like I said earlier in the video, it wasn't so hard of a list to make because I wasn't putting on, the best technical wrestlers per se or the best in-ring workers. So it was more simple to pick this list because I was picking guys throughout the decade that made a substantial impact. So with that being said, the last pick was kind of tough because there's so many great megastars. And I was like, holy fuck, who should I pick? And I can only imagine the next, 5-10 years, we're going to see guys definitely on the list like Roman Reigns, who may be on the list already for a lot of people. Randy Orton should be on the list. Cody Rhodes, could he make it on the list in the next 5 years? What is his impact on the business going to be? So there's a lot of great names, but the name I chose was the guy that has been through all the decades, a guy that has always done business. He's worked with guys that he shouldn't have worked with. He's done, storylines he shouldn't have done storylines with, but he's always been able to be in that main event slot or be a high mid-carder, and he was always a guy that you could interchange and no one would ever, question it because he was such a powerful star. And I'm talking about the dead man, The Undertaker. Holy fuck. I'm a 90s era baby, and the matches Undertaker had that are just ingrained in my soul with Mankind, the Buried Alive, the Great Casket matches, the Hell in the Cell matches. And then he was able to come back as the American Badass. And I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the American Badass, but I loved the American Badass Undertaker. And just for him to be this dead man character and carry it for so many years and still have the fans behind him is incredible in itself. So guys, that's my list. That concludes my list of my WWE Mount Rushmore superstars that I think. So we got Hulk Hogan, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin, we have John Cena, and we have The Undertaker. So guys, I would love to hear your list, and if you disagree with my list, please put your list below and I'd love to see it. And guys, stay tuned for another episode.